This year, our world-leading action helped provide over 500,000 people with access to free period products. We've committed £13 million to delivering our Equally Safe strategy to prevent and eradicate violence against women and girls. We've published a gender pay gap action plan to tackle workplace inequality and introduced a gender equality task force to break down gender stereotyping in the classroom. Supporting and empowering women and girls to reach their full potential will help Scotland grow as an inclusive and sustainable country.
What the fuck does that mean? Seriously? When are they going to cut the act? They just throw these words about and expect people to accept this as normal. What does that mean, exactly? Prioritising girls and ethnic minorities over white men because of intersectionality. A far left theory that's never been proven to be anything but a theory. Feminist dogma infiltrating every aspect of our lives in terms of academia. And what for? Because women are oppressed. Let's break down the barriers. Record low birth rates, mind you. Women can be anything they want, so long as they don't have children. Don't dare go down that avenue. Think of all the wonders you could have as a CEO called Jane. Yes, you know, time and time again, British government are able to beat Westminster over the head with the metaphorical stick in relation to increasing poverty levels, increasing child poverty levels, and of course food bank usage. Never got money to mitigate these problems themselves. Oh no. But they seem to always have money to burn when it comes to the feminist, social justice related issues or any of the other plethora of social justice related issues. For example, the budget's been increased again to tackle violence against women, and on paper that sounds like what it says in the tin, but it's not just it's clear cut as tackling violence against women. As it goes on to say, 13 million fund and record human rights and equality package, you're fucking great. Whoopie-doo. The Delivering Equally Safe Fund, which brings together a number of previous funding streams, will support frontline organisations with a focus on prevention and early intervention. Yeah, that's right, because they've got this concept that they've been peddling for some time now, that violence against women comes in many forms, which I'll get to in a second. But one of the root causes of it is because of outdated stereotypes, so it justifies them then infiltrating the fucking nurseries, the primary schools, the high schools with their feminist BS to empower the little girls and do whatever with the boys. You know, they've got this delusional belief system that if they can tackle the outdated stereotypes, violence against women will stop. And of course, their argument falls flat on its face when you look at domestic violence the other way round. Where does that fit into the mix? Doesn't get a mention. Wonder why that is. Fund. Equally Safe is our country's strategy to take action on all forms of violence against women and girls. By this we mean the violent and abusive behaviour carried out predominantly by men, directed at women and girls precisely because of their gender. Or did they tell you that, did they? Pandemic, of course. Deep-rooted inequality. Oh, how convenient. Which includes domestic abuse, rape, sexual assault, commercial sexual exploitation, and so on and so forth. Whatever form it takes, violence against women and girls can have both an immediate and long-lasting impact on the women, children and young people directly involved. It's quite simply unacceptable here in Rainbow Unicorn Land because it doesn't reflect the country of equality we aspire to become. So, it then elaborates a little further on. Gender-based violence is a function of gender inequality and an abuse of male power and privilege. Of course it is. Takes the form of actions that result in physical, sexual and psychological harm or suffering to women and children or affront to their human dignity, including threats of such acts, coercion or arbitrary deprivation of liberty, whether occurring in public or arbitrary deprivation of liberty, whether occurring in public or private life, to men who predominantly carry out such violence, and women who are predominantly the victims of such violence. By preferring to violence as gender-based, this definition highlights the need to understand violence within the context of women and girls' subordinate status in society. I reckon it's got more to do with sexuality, because if a man's gay, he's not going to go out of his way to beat up women. It'd be his gay partner, I would have thought, and vice versa. But however, gender inequality is a root cause of violence against women and girls. And despite the many advances being made, there remain persistent inequalities between men and women. The gender pay gap, a clear-cut example of gender-based violence, of course. 9% calculated as the median of full-time earnings, just one example. And the overrepresentation of women in lower-paid sectors and Underrepresentation of women in senior posts is another clear-cut example of gender-based violence, you see. Women do not currently have the same life chances as men. Of course they don't, because it's a patriarchy. Women... Oh, fuck me. There are a number of reasons for this, including institutional sexism. Of course, institutional sexism. The country's run by feminists, but it's institutionally sexist, mind. Disproportionate levels of economic dependence. To help address these issues of gender-based violence, we have launched an extensive programme of work aimed at increasing employability, addressing the gender pay gap, improving flexibility of work, and reducing occupational segregation. Leading by example, the Rainbow Unicorn government is a gender-based cabinet. Oh, how progressive of you. How truly equal. And we are securing commitments to achieving a 50-50 gender-based balance on boards by 2020 within the public, private and third sector. We also legislated via the Child and Young People Act to increase levels of funding for early learning and childcare, which will help support parents both into and within the workforce. We've also engaged, 50-50 representation, they said. Happy International Women's Day from Rainbow Unicorn Land, a country with a female First Minister, a female Finance Secretary and a female Majority Cabinet. Equality. Lips for the past few years has had a good thing going for herself, you know. Just blame Westminster and austerity for absolutely everything that's going wrong in the country. And all her followers are die-hard supporters. The cult members seem to hang off her every word, believe everything she says and go on to repeat what she has used as her excuse. But meanwhile, behind the scenes, or not even behind the scenes in this case, they're telling you bold as brass what they're pissing our money away on. 13 grand plucked out of nowhere to fund and improve access to period products for women and girls in Malawi, because that's really our problem, but hey ho. $500,000, of course, we've invested 15 million since 2017 in our world leading action to widen provision. For the first time ever, over 500,000 people will have access to free period products. That's so progressive. Of course, 13 million to tackle all forms of violence against women and girls, gender-based violence. I've already touched upon that one. We're working to ensure fairer workplaces for women by closing the gender pay gap. I wonder how much they pissed away this time around on that, as well as the funding that's going in to STEM, specifically for girls, but of course they have to pretend it's for the boys as well. So they'll say young people, but the problem is that there's not enough girls taking it. Their excuse is that it's ingrained into them when they're the ages of the children on screen. So again, another excuse to storm on in to the education system to try and manipulate the outcomes that you deem acceptable. In Rainbow Unicorn Land, there's a lot to be proud of, apparently. Challenging gender stereotypes in education, improving gender equality in the workplace, tackling violence against women and girls, and providing free period products. We're committed to upholding, protecting and advancing the fundamental rights for all women and girls to achieve an equal society. Their definition, of course, of equality is far different to the actual definition. The arc of history bends whichever way we choose it. We must take collective action to bend it towards justice for all. Powerful words from Nicola Thin Lips. Truly magnificent woman. After the 2003 elections, this parliament was the second most equal in the world. 17 years later, we've gone backwards. We're now 13th. However, I'm proud to say that the cabinet I lead is one of the few in the world that's majority women. Female politicians in 2003. That somehow constitutes equality, or the next best thing. In comparison to now, we've gone backwards, and it's somehow a clear indication of rampant inequality all of a sudden. Just because there was more women back then, and even if you were to get an even split down the middle, it does not indicate equality. Far from it, in fact. Because of the process you have to go through to achieve your little 50-50 display for the world. Right that we use International Women's Day to acknowledge where we need to take action towards gender equality, including tackling intersectional discrimination and inequality. Because remember folks, we won't have achieved gender equality until all women and girls are equal. Oh, how thought-provoking. Why didn't I think of that one? Women and girls who are standing up, speaking out and breaking the mold, flirting stereotypes, challenging the status quo. Women and girls who are carers, workers, students and activists. Every one of you is important. Oh, my heart bleeds. So progressive.